Welcome to the latest episode of Five on the Floor on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Five Reasons YouTube channel, where we're going live after Heat and Clippers. Of course, these go to the podcast feeds afterwards. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn the notifications on. Also, check out Off the Floor. That's our new Discord. You can chat on the Heat 24/7, sometimes with us, always with the fans. Plenty of channels there for you to check out on the Heat and even on the entire NBA or even on sports other than the NBA. So check it out. It's Off the Floor, $2.99 per month. The link is right here in the description on the YouTube channel and on the podcast feeds, as well as at the top of the Five Reasons Twitter page. And now, today's episode.
Down the Biscayne.
Yikes. Five on the floor, ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing, you can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs. Just like Butler said, you in trouble, y'all. Kept the floor playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, it's power, have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, and Alex Toledo, plus others from the Five Reasons Sports Network.
Welcome back to Five on the Floor Live. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick on Five Reasons Sports. We got Greg Sylvander. You can follow him at Greg Sylvander. We got Brady Hawk. You can follow him at Brady Hawk 305. We're actually starting this thing with about a minute left in Clippers Heat tonight, just trying to transition our playback audience over to the YouTube channel. And Miami's not making up this deficit. As we speak, they're down 119 to 103. So this is going to be a double-digit loss. It's going to drop them to 1-2 on this road trip. They still got the Lakers and the Suns upcoming. We knew that this would be a difficult trip, particularly when Jimmy Butler got hurt again tonight. We'll get into the injury report a little bit later, but no Jimmy Butler, no Haywood Highsmith, and no Josh Richardson. Again, Kyle Lowry played, although to be honest, he didn't make a whole lot of an impact. So again, I've got Greg, I've got Brady. We'll get to the Rocky Sports Gamer of the Night, and also our injury report as we go forward. But just the overall thought tonight, and I'll start here. And again, we'll let some of you come in on the comments. We're gonna do a short show tonight. This kind of played to form for a lot of Heat games this year, where they get off to a pretty good start. Ball's popping pretty good. They've got some things working tonight. What worked best, honestly, was Kevin Love and Duncan Robinson off the bench in their minutes. And then they let the opponent get back into the game before halftime. This has happened many times this season. Then they have that bad stretch coming out in the third quarter. They don't defend. And then the fourth quarter is just a bleep show. And I think that's where they ended up tonight. And as we go through some of the numbers tonight, we'll talk about Bam, 21 and 15, but 6 of 17 from the floor, missed a bunch of free throws, was just not particularly efficient tonight and the night they needed him to be. 4 of 13 for Tyler Hero. That's not enough on a night without Jimmy Butler. He ended up with 12, 6, and 6. Jaime Jaquez did some good things tonight. They tried to exploit him defensively, but he played 38 minutes tonight as the game is closing up. Had 15 points on 6 of 13 shooting. Honestly, Kevin Love was their best player tonight. And the other thing, of course, that came into this was Jamal Cain starting. He went 4 of 12 from the field. I can assure you that the Heat's philosophy is not to have Jamal Cain take 12 shots, but he was left open repeatedly. In fact, he took almost as many shots as Jaquez and Hero, and then Duncan Robinson. And this is a little bit confounding. And Greg, I know you're going to want to hit on this. Played only 26 minutes off the bench, even though it seemed like they needed him tonight. And on the other side, 24 for Leonard, 23 for Paul George, 15, 4 and 10 from Harden. Just better players on the other side who executed better tonight. But Greg, let's go to it because we talk about Bam and Tyler are going to have to carry them in these games. Jaquez has done some of it, but you can't be relying on him to do that. Not as a rookie, not at this stage. I don't know. Bam's been sort of weirdly inefficient of late. The stuff from the line's been strange, and he's getting there, but he's not making them. And then Tyler was kind of a no-show tonight.
Yeah, that's the tough thing when he's getting to the line. He was 14 of 20 up in Utah and then 9 of 13 tonight. So those are easy points, but he's making up for it. At least Bam is with the rebounding. He had 15 boards as we are doing this now. Tyler's the one that dumbfounds me a little bit because they needed him to step up in this game. It's a matchup that a lot of people thought he would struggle with, and it ended up that he kind of looked like he did. Currently, he's 4 of 13 from the field. Did have 6 rebounds, 6 assists, went over his 5 rebounds on Prize Picks. Use the code 5FIVE to get your initial deposit matched up to $100. I just think they need more. And this was a game that they were already so depleted that they were going to need a Herculean effort from somebody. And so when your leading scores are 21-15, 17-15, like you're not going to get it done against this Clippers team who scored 121 tonight. Final score 121-104, by the way.
Brady, Alex has hit on this a lot. He's producing tonight, but Heat like to shoot mid-range shots. Sometimes they shoot too many. Couldn't really get to the rim tonight. Couldn't finish at the rim tonight. Again, the shot diet, 121 is too many to give up. Clippers have a lot of talent offensively when they're healthy. We know that. Miami's awful in transition. We know that. How do they change the shot diet here, particularly when they don't have Jimmy making plays around the rim?
I mean, that's the key. I mean, everything changes when they have Jimmy because he's their one guy that can get them consistent rim attempts. Uh, it's not a coincidence that they're shooting this many mid-range shots uh, with this current roster. It's the fact of it's not that they're just doing it just to do it. I just don't think they can get to the rim consistently. I don't think they can get good looks at the rim consistently with this specific roster, and that hurts their half-court offense. It really does. You cannot form a positive offense consistently. That's the key because they can go on runs and stretches where Kevin Love shoots really well or Duncan shoots really well, but there's consistency is not going to be there if you're not able to get to the rim and get easier looks consistently. So that's been the biggest thing. I think when Jimmy plays, and as much as we talk about certain trends from him when he's not really trying, well, when he even semi tries to kind of put his head down a little bit, it changes the way defenses defend. It sinks, collapses things a little more, and all of a sudden their looks from three and everywhere else look a little bit different. But that has to change. I think Tyler, we've talked before about him, getting to the line more, but I think it's more so the only way he's going to get to the line more is if he gets to the rim more. Like that, you have to hit step one before you hit step two. I feel like so, like him kind of getting those rim attempts is going to provide that opportunity. But this game specifically, I think all around, I said it, when we were on playback, it's like they might have lost this game off of just entry passes, which is the most weird thing to say on a post game show. I never thought I'd say that, but like just some of the decision making in the offense, and that's what ties back to the rim attempts and the overall profile is like they're trying to force things that are just not there. And even if it is there, it's like it's such a risk and a high probability of being a turnover. It's just unnecessary. Like they had Kyle tried to throw it to Love back-to-back possessions. And it was Westbrook stealing it back-to-back times. But there was other times they're just trying to hit that over-the-top pass to try to – what do they try to do? Get a rim attempt, like probably an easy opportunity at the rim to try to collapse the defense. And it's like they're working so hard to do that when Jimmy plays, it doesn't seem so difficult. It just seems like that's just their play style. So that's something they're going to have to fix. They still have continued to shoot pretty decent, and it hasn't mattered. So, like, they have to kind of set a tone down there. And I think Bam has to try to find different opportunities down there because the paint has not been open for him. I think we can all notice that. Like, he's getting to the line a ton because he's in traffic, but he's not, like, getting easy opportunities around the rim. He's settling for those short jumpers, which I think you're fine with that because he has that in his arsenal, but you don't want him to fall into the trap of only taking that shot. Like you need him to put his head down once in a while. But the only way you're going to be able to do it is if some of the other guys kind of allow him and open up that spacing.
Is it too much to ask? Kyle Lowry is going to the Hall of Fame, most likely to throw a decent entry pass. Like
tonight it was.
I don't get it. Like there are certain things that I understand that he can't do at his age consistently anymore. I get it. Like beat his defender off the dribble or defend a quick guard, which is why, or a wing, which is why we see them having to start Kane tonight because they didn't have Martin, they didn't have Richardson, they didn't have Butler, and so okay, well you can't start Love, even though Love was productive tonight because you can't have Love out there with Lowry because then you have no one to guard these guys. I get that part of it. I think we've all accepted that part of it. The two things I can't understand that why Lowry can't provide them consistently are one, shoot the damn ball. Okay. Since we've talked about that so many times, because he's capable of doing that still. And the other part is just setting guys up. Like I don't I understand, like, this comment comes in from Mac for a better tomorrow. Kyle making the same mistake past Kevin Love twice in a row made me think I was in the Matrix. Like, I mean, this guy's won a championship as like the second or third best player on his team. Like, I don't
Yeah.
get it. Like, you just can't have, he came back tonight, but it was just a no-show performance in a lot of ways, even though the stat line was actually better than it's been some nights because he was 3 of 5 from the floor, three with, I guess, 3 assists and a rebound. But that's just maddening because he's supposed to be the guy who is organizing them and getting them into offense. And it felt like their entire offense tonight was basically, okay, Bam's got Tice on him. So let's get him the ball in the mid range and see what he can do there. And again, Tyler didn't do enough tonight either. So I'm not excusing him, but I'm just saying, like, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating to see that because, again, you don't have Jimmy. It's a whole nother topic, which we've hit on a million times here. Caleb doesn't look like he's close to coming back at this stage. And Josh isn't back either. Not that Josh is going to be great as a pick and roll ball handler or getting entry passes in either, but it's just that's one of the frustrating things. All right, we do want to go to the Rocky Sports Center gamer of the night, and honestly, I can't pick anybody on the Heat side. If I would, it would be Kevin Love.
No,
But
it
I'm
should
going to
be
go
a
actually
Clipper.
your way. Yeah, it's a Clipper. You kind of know what you were going to get from Paul George and Kawhi if they were healthy. Norm Powell killed the Heat tonight. I feel like this is not the first time that this has happened, but 9 of 11 overall, 4 of 5 from three, and 22 points, and just seemed totally in the flow tonight. So we did want to mention the Rock Esports Gamer of the Night, of course, sponsored by our friends over at Rock Esports in Palmetto Bay, Miami's first esports center and lounge. We're going to be having watch parties. We're also going to do live podcasts from there, and then also the 2K tournament. So make sure that you check that out. If you mention 5 Reasons, when you go down to Palmetto Bay, again, there's plenty of parking there. This isn't one of those problems that you have in Miami. They got plenty of space and plenty of space inside too to play all the games that you want to play. Mention 5 Reasons, you get $5 off the $25 all day pass. So check them out, Rock Esports Center in Palmetto Bay, and look for the next 2K tournament. So I'm giving that to Norm Powell, but I mean, look, the Clippers 19-12 on the season. They just didn't have to force anything tonight. I think what was frustrating watching Miami tonight was that the Clippers sort of, I think, knew that they could just sort of work their way back into this game. Like there was
Correct.
they didn't have to panic. They knew they had mismatches, and I understand the frustration from the fans' point of view here. Like if you don't like, okay, if you had Jimmy, what does this look like? If you had even Caleb as the additional defender instead of Kane, where maybe Caleb makes some plays offensively when he's left open that Kane can't make. It's a broken record here, but the Heat are never going to be healthy. But this is one of those nights you're not going to win if you're not.
Yep.
And I just not when the other team is. And when you're going against a team that is always hurt, like the Clippers are, and you're the more injured team, Greg,
Yeah.
this is why fans start to shake their head at the regular season.
Because you needed the Utah game. This is why you can't lose some of the ones that you could have easily, gotten, because there's nights like tonight where you're so undermanned. We talked on playback about them being a wing short. They were 2 or 3 wings short. They just needed one more guy at least to be able to defend. They didn't have that tonight. Their shot diet was not representative of what the game really looked like because it was so it kind of excuse me, evened out as the game closed, but throughout the game it was really just a mid-range fest, and that was just not efficient for Miami. I don't know what was up with Tyler. This is a tough one to lose because now they're on this road trip and they need to stop the bleeding. And who is it? The Lakers are next on Wednesday. And that's never an easy contest. So we'll see how it goes, but this has not been a kind road trip, injuries aside. And I know every team gets injured, but you also are in a tight race in the East. Luckily, Orlando lost recently, so you haven't lost much ground, but they got to be careful with that. So I personally hate the fact that they lost the Utah game, because tonight I would have been able to stomach a little bit more had they gotten that one in Utah, where they were, even when Jimmy was out, they were a more talented group, I think.
Then the Knicks got a trade bump now, which, again, I don't know how that's going to play out long term, but typically teams make a trade midseason, energizes you. They won their first game. They beat Minnesota in their first game after the trade. So, that looks like it's going to help them a little bit. So Miami can't lose. You can't sort of lose track with them. What's great? that comment comes in. No, look, I'm not saying Jaime was perfect today, and this comment comes in from Muhammad. I'm not saying Jaime was perfect, but he does something. I mean, that's where I'm at. Like, there's just a certain point where you have to impose your will on the game in some way if you're going to be out there. And when the Heat are undermanned, they've got a $28 million point guard. Do something. Make an entry pass. Set other guys up. He had these kind of games a couple years ago when guys were out, but it didn't happen tonight. It actually happened in LA a couple of years ago when a bunch of other guys were out. Um, we're gonna go to the play of the game in a second. So I'll give you guys some time to think about that. What did you think, Brady, of Duncan's minutes tonight or lack of a minute? He ended up under 30, 26 minutes tonight. Night they needed offense.
Yeah, I've always kind of felt like the minutes were weird, and Greg was talking about it before. It's like he gives them kind of the best flow, I feel like, offensively without even touching the ball. And we were talking about, you look at the way their half court offense looks and how much it revolves around movement and off ball movement and all that stuff. And you look at when Duncan's on the floor, the off ball movement shifts, and it's not just because Duncan's moving off ball. It's like it feels like they run different actions when Duncan's on the floor. So even when he's on the ball, everybody else is moving. I don't know. It just feels like everything clicks in those minutes. And he's really been an energizer for them. Like it feels like good things always seem to happen when he's on the floor just because of that reason. He's just a bottle of energy, as Spo used to Spo with, or igniter, as Spo likes to say. So it's I'm interested to see how they kind of fix that around. They're trying to mix up substitution patterns because they constantly have different guys in and out. But this thing where Duncan comes in with like 2 minutes left in the first quarter, and then he plays that long stint, and then it's that, like, that's it. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's more of an impact player now, where he needs like 2 stints in the first half, where you're giving him kind of extended minutes and kind of seeing what, especially on nights like this, where it's like you're not stopping anybody. All your wings are hurt. You're basically putting a disadvantage no matter what you do on defense, because they have so many different options and they're going to have a mismatch. Go try and score. And it felt like they were doing that at the beginning of the game. You mentioned the Love minutes. You mentioned the Duncan minutes. You're talking about Kyle. Kyle actually had a really good start to the game, I thought. And then like after the first like 3 minutes, I don't really know what happened after that. It's felt like he was stopped being aggressive. But other than that, like, you got to try to find consistent scoring, and Duncan's consistently been that. So we'll see how they treat the minutes moving forward. I haven't hated the Duncan Tyler minutes, as we keep talking about. Like, it's not like past years where it's become a problem. I feel like you can lean into a lot of these things. So what did he end up with? You said 28 minutes, something like that, like, or was it less? 24?
I think it was 26. It was 26 the last
26.
time that
So
I
yeah,
checked. Let's see. Hold on. He ended up with 26 minutes, 15 points on 3 of 8 shooting, 3 of 7 from 3. One of the things I don't like when his minutes are cut, and we're going to get to the play of the day here in a second, is that it seems like then he just becomes a three-point shooter. Like, he works his way. The more minutes he gets, I feel like we start to see more of the playmaking from him. He gets in a rhythm. They start trusting him more. They feed off him. He had the 1-3 where he was demonstrative afterwards. Like, you were getting like this. I mean, look, Michigan made it to the final today. They showed that on the Heat Twitter account and everything. It seemed like he was into the game. I don't understand why he doesn't play more, particularly with what people are saying in the comments here, where Hero was clearly bothered by the Clippers' length.
Yeah.
So Duncan's not going to be bothered by their length as much. Okay, we know that. I mean, simply he's taller. Okay, he gets his shot off in different ways. Like, I think he should have played more tonight, and I'm confused with how, again, Spoelstra has been such a proponent of his, and now
And he
you're
was
getting a
playing so
Duncan we
well.
never thought we would see. So why? Again, I'm a Jaime guy, but like Jaime playing 38 minutes and Duncan's playing 26. I don't understand that. Like, to me, Duncan has to be in a game where you don't have Jimmy and you got Tyler's inconsistent. You're leaning heavily on Bam, and we know Bam plays so well with Duncan. Like, I just get him out on the floor more consistently tonight. I don't get it. And Spo got away. Look, Spo got away from Kane for part of the game, but he got away from Brian and Hampton after their initial stints.
Wow.
The minutes were there for Duncan. I don't understand why he didn't use them more, Greg.
And Tyler has to be more consistent. Like, we just have to be honest
Yeah.
about like that. Tonight is a night where they can't have a bad Tyler Hero game, and if they were going to, then Duncan had to have 7 threes. You know what I mean? Like, that one of the two things had to happen, and neither really happened they just didn't get the chance with Duncan, really.
All right, we're getting some of the comments up, but I do want to mention our sponsor of the play of the day, Lynette, our friend. We're at insurancebylynette.com. She's always with us on Discord, also here on the YouTube channel and on playback. She sponsors here the play of the day. Reach out to her at insurancebylynette.com or 954-581-8800. That's 954-581-8800. Life insurance, renter's insurance, car insurance. She can handle all of it for you. She's the best at it. And again, if you have a bad driving record, she definitely can help you with that. Trust me. So reach out to her at insurancebylynette.com. The play of the day today. I don't know. What do we have? There were a couple that look like they could be on the Heat side, Brady. Greg, you got one?
Yeah, the last made basket for the Heat of the night, a Nikola Jovic made 3-pointer. That's the play of the night. No, I'm joking. I don't have a good play of the night.
Yeah, I don't know what there was tonight, Brady. Anything?
I'll say the one because this ties into what we were talking about before. There was the one I know me and Greg were talking about it when Love had it like in like the low post and Tyler made like a perfect cut to the basket and like saved the day. And then the defender pulled in from the corner off Kane and he kicked it and Kane hit a three. And it's like the reason I point that out is like when they're moving off ball, number one, when Tyler is the one that's moving off ball, number two, and you're pulling defenders like that is when the offense is at its best. When everything is just like focused on like Bam taking contested jumpers, when everybody's just watching him in the middle of the floor, I felt like that was a lot of this game tonight. So when talking about Tyler, I think number one, you talk about the rim attempts we talked about earlier. Make it easier on him. It doesn't always have to be a pick and roll that has to, him to get to the rim. It doesn't have to be the isolation stuff we talk about. He's such a good off-ball spot-up shooter that you can leverage that stuff the way they leveraged it with Duncan. So I think that play was important just because of the fact of what they can do with Tyler. I keep saying it over and over, but I think it's more so going to be something to utilize when everybody's healthy or if everybody ever becomes healthy, I always have to say. So we'll see if they ever come back to it, but they're going to need off-ball Tyler at some point down the line.
I did think Tyler's defense was a little better earlier in the game. That's been mentioned in the comments here. It just was offensively that he couldn't seem to shake free. And then as far as one of the other comments that's come in here a few times from people here on the live chat on YouTube is that Bam was inefficient today. It seems to me like he's rushing lately. I don't know. Ever since he came back from the injury, I don't know. He's he's trying to be like a half a tick faster than he was before, and he's just not in rhythm. And I wonder when you have this many guys that are in and out, it's just trying to get guys in rhythm where they get to their spots and they're comfortable and they know where to go. It's challenging. Again, I'm not making excuses for the Heat because the reality is they got to get more guys on the floor. Like they just do. Like if they're going to win these games against these better teams on the road, I do think the Laker game sets up for them okay. We'll see who's healthy for Phoenix, but as was mentioned here in the chat, the Lakers don't have healthy wings right now, and Miami's problem is they don't have enough wings. I mean, they're loaded with wings on the roster; they're not loaded with wings on the floor. And this actually is a good way for us to get into our last segment today, and then we're going to let everybody go to sleep here, and we'll do another podcast tomorrow night. Our friend Eric Rubenstein, you can find him at all the Heat games. You can also find him, and you should find him at ericrubenstein.com. Or 877-829-ERIC. That's ERIC, 877-829-ERIC. If you have a personal injury situation of any kind, he's the guy to go to. He's based in South Florida. He went to St. Thomas University, graduated near the top of his class, and he's just really good at what he does. So reach out to ericrubenstein.com. It's 877-829-ERIC. The injury report, no Jimmy Butler tonight, and really not a lot from the Heat about when he's coming back. Now it went from calf to he was sick, so now it's a foot irritation problem.
Yep. But there's other weird ones too. Haywood Highsmith has concussion-like symptoms.
Yes.
Who knows when that'll be back? And
he was sent home actually. So he was sent home. So he's not even with the team anymore. So don't expect you're not going to see him in Phoenix either or LA.
Caleb has an ankle, right? And then there's another injury floating around that I had never heard about before that Josh has.
Yeah, I don't know what that one is. Well, even Kyle's injury designation changed because it was soreness, right? For the first two games. And then today he was returning from, what was it? Something else that he he had. I don't think they can even keep it straight at this point. I'll just get to this, okay? I understand that Jimmy Butler was not going to play 70 plus games this year. We talked about it before the season. He's now on pace to play 57 and a half.
It's not good enough.
It's missing a third of the games. I mean, if he's going to be missing a third of the games and you're going against teams and you've got Kawhi and PG of all people that are healthy, you're not going to win a ton of these. That's it. And I think at a certain point, and I'm not saying that Jimmy should do anything that should, again, wreck his future or hurt them down the line for the playoff run. But I do think we're getting to the stage here where some rhythm needs to be built between him and some of these other guys on the team. And when it's just constantly in and out, he didn't look good the other night. I thought when he played against Utah, he was passive. Then he went out again. They don't know whether they have him or not on a night to night basis. And I can tell you, and I'm not around this team as much as I was around that team, but I can tell you when Dwayne was not regularly available the last couple of years of the Big Three, particularly that last season, it messed with the other guys on that team, particularly the high level guys on that team. And I think that's what's happening here. It's almost better to know Jimmy's going to be out for 2 weeks. Okay, Bam, Tyler, Jaime take this team over, then have Jimmy kind of pop in and then go out. It's just it feels like a rhythm breaker at this point. And so we'll see if he plays against the Lakers. I'm not anticipating that he does. He's still on the trip though. They didn't send him home like they did with Haywood, so we could see him by the end of it. But this thing, I mean, 21 starting lineups at this point. Like, we don't know what we're going to see night to night. Like, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Thomas Bryant, Nikola Jovic, Bam front line. Okay. Like, it could be anything at this stage.
Good night.
Good night. Have a good night, everybody.